Hello, once again, everybody. It's your boy, Mr. David YT, and today we have a special video for you guys. This video is going to be called Mr. David YT versus the real David, and the reason why is because in this video I'll be doing a comparison between the real me and Mr. David YT, yours truly. And in this video, you guys will may learn a thing or two about me that you never knew, maybe shocking facts. You guys know a lot about me, but you know very little about the real me. So this video will give you guys a chance to get to know both of us. But enough talking. Let's go ahead and start this thing. Mr. David started out as a regular human being. He lived his life as a prince alongside his older brother John and alongside the original rulers of the kingdom, King Armadeus and his wonderful wife, Queen Sarah. They were the original rulers of the Emerald Kingdom. And then one day, Mr. David obtained power from a strange meteor containing a crystal. After touching the crystal, Mr. David gained his powers. As a result, his father decided to make him the future king instead of John. And as a result, John became evil and filled with hatred and anger to the point to where he betrayed the family and killed their parents in an attempt to kill all three of them, but only missing David. And now Mr. David is at war with his own older brother. And now for the real me. For my backstory, I grew up in Washington State. I was born in 1993, lived with a single mother and a sister who was only 5 years younger than I am. I grew up in a kind of a ghetto-ish neighborhood. I've been bullied, rejected. By the time I was a teenager, I used to be a skateboarder. I used to ride my bike all the time in the park, in the scooters. I didn't really have any friends of my own, but I spent a lot of time with my sister and her friends throughout the majority of the time. One day, I went behind our old elementary school after asking permission from my mother. And me and my sister went back there, and there was like a Christian festival going on. After spending an hour there or so, me and my sister came back as Christians, as we had given our lives to Jesus. I believe this was 2008. And then one day, a couple of people from a distant church came to visit the park that we were hanging out at. They would give away free food, and knowing me, I would go right over there for that free food. Not realizing that this became the opportunity for me and my sister to go back to church for the first time since 2001. And just as things were looking better, sadly, our mother passed away around late January of 2011. So, like, literally 10 and a half years ago. When she passed away, I was forced to leave behind the life I had been living for 17 years and now currently live here in California as a full-grown adult, working hard at McDonald's, living in a nice house in a peaceful neighborhood, no longer dealing with bullies and ghetto nonsense. And now for the comparison. Mr. David is an ultra-human who is also the leader of the most powerful military force on Earth, which is the Star Protectors. He has all kinds of abilities, such as transforming, using energy blast, electricity, lasers, and breathing fire. It is said that in his final form, he can be as strong as Goku in Ultra Instinct form. And now, as for the regular David, The real me is basically a regular human being who works for McDonald's, has great strength, is capable of lifting up to 40 pounds with one hand, can move really fast, is very friendly unless provoked, and has a powerful creative side. And here's some interesting facts about the two of us that may help you guys decide which David is the better David. Mr. David could transform into Giga David, which is a 30-foot version of himself. The real David, what's interesting about him is he's had a total of 2 girlfriends in his life so far, whereas Mr. David has had none, according to the story. Mr. David has not had any interaction with the opposite sex, whereas the real me has had not only a couple girlfriends in his life, but has actually been fortunate enough to be a chick magnet. Okay, I'm not making this up. Okay, I'm not boasting either. The real me in high school got to attract multiple girls in his life. And as a result, I've actually been kissed or got to kiss several girls total between 2011 and 2014 during my time in high school. And here's another interesting fact about Mr. David. Mr. David has a flagship in space that can fire a laser strong enough to penetrate a capital ship. Like literally leave a huge gaping hole in it. And as for the real David has traveled to and from Hawaii, like you can see in the picture right there in the background, has traveled to and from Hawaii at least twice, approaching 3 times in the near future. The real me also got to drive a gas-powered scooter at one point, a gas-powered mini bike, has ridden on the back of a motorcycle, and also carries a scar from the motorcycle that's about the size of a $50 that is still there to this day on my leg. As for Mr. David, Mr. David can clone himself. He can make clones and also transform into a female version of himself. As for the real me can actually eat a certain amount of cookie dough without getting sick. And finally, Mr. David is immune to fire and lava and is able to survive explosions as strong as a nuclear blast. And as for the real David, well, the most interesting thing I could finally say about myself is I ran a mile in 90-degree weather once, and I've ridden my bike during a heavy rainstorm once. And that's pretty much about it. Let me know what you guys think of the real me versus Mr. David in the comments. If you guys were amazed on some of the interesting facts that I shared with you, please hit that like button. So for now, I am David and Mr. David YT, and I'll see y'all next time. Shalom.